So we're just going to give a little context to this place, and we're mostly wanting to answer any questions you guys have at the end. So keep those in mind, because we want lots of questions that'll make it more exciting and interesting. So a little background, Supplyframe is our parent company. They're right up the street at Fair Oaks and Green. You may have been there last night for raging festivities to kick off the SuperCon weekend. They make software as a service tools for the electronics industry to help manage supply chain, mostly working with electronics manufacturers and distributors. They opened up this space about 4 years ago, and we are a 4,000 square foot design and fabrication facility. We not only do community, public and private events, but we also host designers and engineers in residence, and we're going to get into all of that in more detail throughout this presentation. Before we get to those things, though, we wanted to just introduce our team here. You've probably seen a few of these people running around this weekend. Erica Earl is our electrical engineer. She's giving pick-and-place demos. You may have just seen her over lunch doing that down in the loading dock, and she'll be doing more of those throughout the weekend, so you can find her to learn more about that equipment. Bruce Dominguez is our rapid prototyping technician. He's running around helping with workshops. He's happy to answer any more questions as well. And then, as we said, we're Majenta and Giovanni. And that's the team here. We're really excited to bring this equipment to the community and make it more accessible and answer any sorts of questions throughout events and programming and that sort of thing. So as you can see, we have lots of exciting tools and things. So we're going to go through sort of quickly because it's a quick presentation and we want lots of time for questions. But we have various 3D printers, FDM, SLA, PolyJet. We also have woodshop equipment, CNC machines varying from small desktop CNCs to large 4x8 CNC mills. And then we have some electronics prototyping and small-scale manufacturing equipment down in the loading dock that you've probably seen, and also our injection mold machine. Am I forgetting anything? And the laser cutter, and a small vinyl cutter, and the pick-and-place part of electronics manufacturing equipment. Yeah, so we'll get into detail with questions, I think, because we could spend hours going into each and every one of those tools. But you can find us also after if we don't have time for that. And then the space you're in right now actually doesn't usually look like this. We can do this for different meetups and presentations, lectures, panels, but usually this is our sort of co-working space for internal staff and then our resident engineers and designers. First come, first serve, be able to spread out and get to work in here. So usually it's a bunch of tables with people working, but we like the flexibility of being able to host things like this. So probably most common question is, how do you get involved with this space or get access to the tools and equipment? Outside of the events that we'll talk about, you can apply for a residency. The application is still on supplyframe.com/DesignLab and it's a Google form, and it's really just to get your name and proposal into our system, and then we'll follow up with interviews and see if it's the right fit. With the residency, you get access to the equipment, of course, you get our expertise, and then you get a materials budget, sort of depending on your project and the scale of what you're trying to do, so you can get started pretty easily. And it's free of charge. All that we ask is that we're able to document your process and use it to be able to write different content, both editorial for Hackaday and also video content, so that we can promote what's happening at the lab. So Giovanni's going to tell you about some of our special projects, which is what we do in addition to our different kinds of events and the residency projects.
Thank you. So yes, in addition to the residency program and the community events that we host, we also develop products in-house, and these are two interesting products that we develop fully at the Design Lab. Number one is Willo, and the other one is the Cube, which you probably saw last year. So Willo is a device that it is connected, well, it monitors how people wash their hands or sanitize their hands when they move from room to room in hospitals. And it was, as I said, it was fully developed here. Our electronic engineer, Voya, he developed all the electronics, PCB design, etc. And we at the Design Lab created the enclosure, not only from the design and development point of view, but we also printed them with our Formlabs equipment, then made other components with Tormac. This model has a ring in the middle that serves, it's structural, and we made it with the CNC machine. We also created molds for casting, resin. So we had a short run production of how many? Probably
300 or so.
like 300 sets of this, all of them made here. So it took us a while. It wasn't an overnight project. But yes, everything was made here, and these parts, or these components, I should say, are being tested at hospitals right now, and yeah, it's going well. So that's one kind of project. The other one is the cube, and as I said, if you were here last year, you probably saw an orange cube with some kind of cryptic function. It is the Supplyframe logo made in 3D. It was successful, it was interesting, and we are now in the 3rd edition. That first one was presented first here, then the second, and in Munich, I keep forgetting. I keep saying Frankfurt, it's Munich. And the second one went to China to promote our service, Want to Buy. And now we're working on the 3rd version. This one is interesting too because we designed and developed the product here, but all mass production was made or is made in China. So we're coordinating not only the electronics, but also plastic injection, light pipes, etc. So once we develop that here, oversee production. Yep.
Yeah, and something about our capabilities here, I think that's important to mention is that something that I really appreciate is that we have a lot of analog and digital fabrication tools that I think really complement each other. Like, you don't need a 3D printer or laser cutter for everything. Sometimes you just need to chop it off on the bandsaw, and we have that stuff. But then when you're ready to make high fidelity, looks like, works like prototype, we have sort of the appropriate tools for that. And the in-between stage, as you're starting to design for manufacture and you need a small run for, like Gio was saying, first test run, or to show to maybe an investor to convince them that it makes sense, different things like that. So I think we're really great at that in-between stage, maybe from you have one solid prototype and you want to get to 10 or 20 and start to learn how to design for manufacturer or work with contract manufacturers and to get that process going. So the other way to get involved, of course, is our events. We have all different kinds of things that I feel like we've already mentioned a few times. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask. We have various workshops. We have panels. We have the Hackaday LA meetup every other month, and then Modular Manifestation is a newer meetup we started that's going to continue into 2020, where we have a bunch of awesome synth performance stuff going on, and DIY, like we made the all-flesh pads at the last one, so different workshops to learn how to solder and things like that. Some of our other workshops happen in collaboration with local organizations like Connect Week that we do with Innovate Pasadena, where we'll do 3D printing workshops, small-scale electronics manufacturing, make like a little lamp and different things like that. And then we've done table saw workshops amongst those. So you can keep an eye out for that on Facebook, Eventbrite, and Instagram. We're Supplyframe DesignLab. We'd love for you to check us out there. You can find out more about current events, what we're up to behind the scenes. And then please reach out to collaborate. We're always looking, I love SuperCon because I meet all kinds of people that we can invite back to do workshops, to do demos, to do talks. We're hosting talks and things throughout the year, so we can never have too many awesome people to invite back. Yeah, I think that's everything. And we would love to hear from you guys if you have any questions. We'll also be around the whole weekend.